All right, and we are back with another episode of The Buzz. I'm your host, Sherwin with Gospel Music Buzz. Follow us, Gospel Music Buzz, on all social media platforms. Check out our Spotify playlist. Check out the merch. Just help yourself. But today, we are joined with avid drummer, singer, songwriter, vocalist, Bam Travis. Bam, welcome to the virtual stage. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, what's up? What's up, man? Thank you for having me. Oh man, I'm doing great. I'm here with the man, so I'm doing good.
Listen. I think you're doing even better because you're in that prayer room, man. We gonna have to get into that, man. Once you enter into that prayer room, man, things can only go up from there, brother.
That's it. That's where it's all. That's where it all starts, man. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. No, listen, man. I know this is a super, super exciting time for you. You just released your debut album. The debut album, Faithful, is out now on all social media platforms. It's out now on all DSPs. It's out basically everywhere. You do Spotify, Pandora, Amazon. You want to buy it on Google, wherever it is, just support this brother. But we're going to get into the album just now. But, just kind of taking a step back because now you've gotten that first one out of the door and you're going to be doing everything around that. Now you can take a small breather. You can't breathe for too long. You
Too
can't
much.
take too much. But what is that feeling like now? No, you put all that work into it, accumulation, and now it's finally released and birthed out there into the world. What are you feeling?
Oh man, it's a breather. First of all, man, it's this has been such a process, man. Just being able to get this record out. Me and my producer, Philip Bates, my brother, Cordell Walton. He's one of my other producers. Lawrence Baseman Washington. I have three producers actually on this record that I want to give a shout out to. But just the whole process, man. Life experiences and things we dealt with within our family unit alone. I think it kind of helped me build a foundation for this first album. I think it was the time that it took for us to get it done. It was necessary for us to learn what we needed to do. We're still learning along the way, but I think just the foundation that we built along the way to get this record out, I think is I'm excited. Like you said, man, this is the first one. It's kind of like you get that little breather, and then I'm ready. I'm ready for what's next, man. Absolutely.
Love it, man. And you mentioned something just now, your brother is part of the production team there. But also kind of give us a little bit about your background because you came up in a musical family. There's some stuff going on the mother's side and your father's side. You guys,
Everybody.
that's what I'm saying. You guys are pretty talented. So get into that a little bit for me.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Well, where can I start, man? My mother, she really instilled into me singing, man, at the age of 2. I mean, ever since I could remember, she, even at church services made me get up to sing. And even if I was terrified, she said, "Hey, you got to sing. Just look at me." I would stare at her and just sing. But she kind of molded that passion to sing. And my dad played guitar. He been playing guitar. All this, one of my favorite guitar players. So my uncles, aunties, they all sing, play. Fuller bass, my producer, he plays keyboard. Everybody does something. There's bass, drums. So I'm just blessed. And even on my dad's side, they're all talented as well. So just being around a musical family, and my grandfather, being a bishop, I was kind of able to, grow up in that church atmosphere. My grandmother, Annette Bates, just growing up in that church atmosphere of music, kind of created the journey for me, man. So that's where it all began.
But that's interesting about that, right? Because you can tell whenever someone just have that musical instinct from just from a very young age. Because as I'm listening to the album, it's not just there's an appreciation of what went into every single track. If not, yes, we know it's definitely anointed and it's going to touch biblically and it's going to do everything else. But at the same time, like if you're a music lover, and you just want to appreciate really good musical composition,
Yes.
songwriting. We're talking, just the overall production quality. Like you can tell. So that's why as I'm reading and getting more into it, I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense now. I that
Yeah.
it's all connecting.
And
And
and honestly, man, that was my goal. That was my goal, just to be able to share different aspects. Because we grow up not just listening to church music, gospel music. We listen to I love all types of music,
yeah,
but just being able to cultivate what I've grown to love, and then still talk about Jesus and talk about
Mhm.
God and make it relevant to everyday life. I think that was my main goal in this record for sure.
And I like what you said about the relevance. I think the relevance is key, right? Because as being the salt and the light to the earth, salt and the light doesn't mean behind, right? It doesn't mean lagging behind. It means leadership. It means allowing others to see and watch it what you're doing, and then want to know the God that is instilling that within you to be able to do it. So I definitely love to see when people are, going out there and leading and just, kind of doing what's necessary to get the message over, but in a fresh, relevant way as well too. So definitely, I think you and your team definitely hit the mark on that. And I will get into a few of my favorites in a little bit there.
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned local church. So right now, where do you serve right now?
Right now, I serve at Great Faith Ministries International. It's in the city of Detroit, downtown, the heart of Detroit. Bishop Apostle Wayne T. Jackson, Dr. Beverly Y. Jackson, wonderful, wonderful leaders. They're also the ones who helped mold everything you hear on my record. Was birthed from what I learned at home in my ministry.
Mm.
Just learning how to serve and being humble and being making things not about you. Making sure that if you whatever if you're gonna come to my church, you're humble. You got to be humble.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're wiping toilets or whatever you're doing,
Mhm.
that's ministry. So it kind of cultivated me into this record, just understanding servanthood, and that's really important. Just it's not about just putting out a record. I think your heart got to be involved, and I think that's one main element that I want the people to hear, even in the music that we come out with. So that's important, man.
That's key for sure. Servanthood, and it's funny you said that because I was speaking. We were in an interview last night, and we were speaking with someone, and we asked the person, in terms of what's one quality that really makes for you know, a great musician, a great worship leader, just any of those things. And that's exactly what they said, what you just said.
Yeah.
Servanthood, finding a local church, serving at that local church, being committed to the vision of that local church and getting that covering. So, you exactly what you're saying for anyone that's going to be going back and watching this, whether you're now getting started or you've been doing this and you feel as though you may have hit that roadblock or you want to know why you can't push past what you're doing, check your service posture.
Yes.
Definitely check that service posture because it can do wonders. It can do wonders.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
No, there's a competition, in the midst of starting with the singles and the recording and all that. You were a part of a competition with Fred Hammond, there's
Yeah.
Willie Moore Jr. There's a few different things happen. Let us know the name of that competition. Clearly, you won the competition, and
Yeah.
then as a result, certain things happen. So, kind of tell us about that and how all of that was kind of still instrumental on your path towards, what you were doing musically.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. So the name of the service, it called Bethany Christian Services, foster care, a great organization, a very selfless organization where they help foster children all around the world, help bring children and babies into families. So just Fred Hammond and Willie Moore Jr. Partnered up with them and brought on this amazing gospel competition that I was grateful to be a part of. There were so many participants, man, and I was fortunate enough to win that competition, man. And it was, I believe it was God ordained, man, because
Yeah.
Fred Hammond was already my favorite gospel singer in the world. So by faith, man, I had $100, man. I put that $100 to the side, to be in this competition because that's what it costs to sign up.
Yeah.
And I said, God, if this is your will, let it happen. And it happened, and it just blew my mind. And I was fortunate enough to win, and we did a music video uh, with Fred Hammond, and the name of the song is called Compromise.
Yes, yeah.
And it was such a great experience, man. I was flown out to Texas
Hmm.
and to Fred's warehouse. We got to experience so many different elements of production, and kind of what I talked to you about before. Just I'm still learning, so just
Hmm.
seeing what Fred, how he had producers over here, he had movies going on over here, he had cars being built over here, he had, it was such a production going on around, and God was just showing me little nuggets of how this stuff works. So it was just an amazing experience, man. It's something I would never forget for sure.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's beautiful. And again, I kind of go back to because you're doing this for, in support of that organization, but also still going out on faith, which is, is very, I would say there's no coincidence in the kingdom because you launched out on faith with that, and the name of the album is Faithful.
yes.
So, you got your own faith story right here as we are talking about.
There you go.
Oh, it is very,
Ain't that something, man?
I mean, very evident. I love it. I'm
Yeah,
loving it. What you mentioned, because just to kind of, I guess, stop a little bit and talk about again the experience with Fred Hammond. Fred Hammond, it's been in the industry for years. He's pioneered a certain unique song, with commission, by himself. Just overall, that unique, Fred Hammond song. Like, no matter where you go, you can just hear something like, is that Fred? Is that Uncle Fred? Like you definitely gonna feel that. But you had the opportunity. He helped with the production of that song, Compromise. You guys were in the studio. We saw a lot of clips from the videos and from everything else. But just kind of, you mentioned going through the warehouse, which still blows my mind when you said the warehouse. I'm like, man, I'm thinking this is studio, but this guy has a whole full-blown production situation like that. Like, no.
absolutely. And it's such a, but yeah, just to answer your question, man, when you think of Fred, man, his sound and his heart, you can hear his heart behind it. If anyone listens to his songs, when you hear Fred, it's Fred Hammond. And that, honestly, that's what birthed my love for music. To be honest, just going back to commission, I'm going on in the name of the Lord. A lot of those songs it hits the heart for me, and especially us men, us African American men. We, I'm not knocking any other genre, any other music. I just think commission, it kind of stamped the strength of a black man, coming from a godly perspective. It kind of nurtured me into who I am today. And if you listen to my record, Faithful, you'll understand, where I come from and what kind of birthed me. So I just, Fred, basically, he raised me musically.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was just, that was just one thing I wanted to point out there.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a beautiful thing to have those examples, right? And that's why I think it's important, even as young, musicians that are coming up, young, songwriters and so forth. That's why it's always good to, see what else is out there, beyond just the regular four walls, like, get
Yeah,
exposed to different music types, get exposed. It doesn't have to be something that is, only released in the last 5, 6 years. Like, go back to the ones that have pioneered a lot of this and a lot of the new stuff sitting on the shoulders of a whole lot that have gone before, right? So I think it's really good that you kind of, grew up whereby you were able to experience that and experience Brett just, firsthand by yourself. So I wanted to make sure we touch a little bit on that as well too. Now,
yeah,
in terms of the I guess thinking you also did traveling, you travel a lot of places,
yes,
with Charles Wilson, Charlie Wilson, Uncle Charlie,
yes,
and you were on stages with a lot of the, highly respected, industry leaders, when it
yes,
comes to, Shaka Khan, when it comes to Babyface, when it comes to just so much. And again, even if someone is saying, hey, I don't listen to those music, but you can still give credence where it's deserved just for the fact of just, writing, just their style, and just barriers that they themselves have helped to push forward in general. And all of them pretty much have a church background, because I'm like, show me one great singer that haven't been brought up in a church, but that's a whole different conversation. I'm gonna leave that alone. That's it.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Where it's deserved, because any of them are talking, they're gonna talk about, oh, this auntie pushed me here, this mom pushed me, this person did that. So it's happening. But that experience, and when you were there in the capacity of a drummer, correct?
Correct.
So, what was that experience like, and what were some takeaways? Because again, those are huge stages. There's musicians that have been grinding for years that haven't been able to make it to those stages, but you came in that stage, and again, just all of this is kind of clicking back as we were talking from a servitude perspective, right? Because you weren't leading, you weren't on the, you weren't up there singing, but you were serving the greater cause there, and you were on the drums. But what did that teach you during that season?
Wow, and it's amazing you asked that question, man. When you talk about servanthood, because I was working at UPS, man. I was working at UPS, and it was a point in my life where I didn't know where God wanted to take me next, and I got a call I was in Columbus, Ohio at the time. I got a call to do an audition for Charlie. And the producer, the MD told me, he said, if you want to do this audition, you got to be here Monday. That was a Friday. And I was scheduled to work. I had just got my foot in the door at UPS.
Yeah.
And it was a decision that I had to make. It was kind of like, okay, if I go, I'm going to probably lose my job. So
that's surreal.
Yeah.
More than likely.
So I was like, I said, God, I'm gonna go. I prayed about it, and I got the clearance to go, man. And I did the audition, and I got the job. Charlie looked at me. He had sunglasses on. He said, if you can't play, I'll fire you. And it was just, man. It fit. It's funny, man, but I was sweating bullets, but I was confident. I knew that God put me in that position for a season to make it work. So just being on stage with Charlie, it taught me so much, man. Just learning how to be professional, and you run into so many loopholes. He run into so many things that you shouldn't allow to distract you. Just watching stage, and there would be different things that would go on stage. And even though I'm there as a drummer, I'm watching him as an artist, because that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
So watching how he handled pressure, how he handled, mishaps. If the sound go out, the mic go out, I'm sitting there taking notes, man. Like, hey, this is where I want to be. So God was showing me, even in that season, to look and to learn and prepare for where I want to take you. So I think, sharing a stage and seeing Shaka Khan and Dougie Fresh, I was able to do a kind of, he beatbox. I was kind of able to play. We did kind of like a back and forth thing on stage one time, and it was just something that I will never forget and cherish, man. We went to Iraq. We went to Kuwait to play for the troops. That was another humbling experience, man. Just sing, and that's actually what birthed my song. Teach Me was birthed in Iraq. I wrote that song while I was on tour with Charlie in Iraq. I wrote it actually at around midnight. You will hear all the Muslims and all the people of different religions praying. You can hear them in the city. It was such a beautiful thing to hear everybody united. And during that moment, God just dropped a song in my spirit. And I heard "Teach Me," and that's where all the lyrics from that song it came from. I'm like, God, teach me what life is about, because us in the U.S., we
it's a whole different situation.
We don't understand what being united really is about. So that song just kind of that song just kind of birthed in my heart from that experience with Charlie in Iraq, for sure.
Wow. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that because it definitely gives a different appreciation, even more so as you're kind of going through, and listening back to these tracks there. And then Teach Me, number 6 on the album, Faithful, available digitally every single where. And and something else too, because I know there's also, you mentioned, just from in the same vein of Teach Me, and you were learning while you were there because you know what you ultimately wanted to be and where you wanted to go. But there's that learning process and being willing to be teachable, right? Because no one's just gonna arrive anywhere. That mentorship that you were able to get from close, from afar, just from everything else. Now, what are some, I guess, do's and don'ts? Doesn't have to be anything super extensive, but what is a few do's and don'ts that you kind of just learn by being there?
I learned to, first of all, mind your business.
I like that.
Mind your business. You can, I can't stress that enough, man. A lot of times
Uh,
you see so much, you hear so much, and a lot of times naturally you will want to, you know, sometimes people will want to say, oh, this person did this person did that. You got to understand why you're there. You got to understand what season you're in. You got to understand, because a lot of times things will pop up. My pastor always say, if a bird fly over your head, you don't have to let it nest. If you see something, if you hear something, something may disturb you, that don't mean that you have to let it affect you. So I would like to say, first and foremost is to mind your business and to remember another thing. Remember who you are, because you get around a lot of different people. You may you get excited because you around all these industry people.
naturally.
Naturally, just but in that sense, you can also forget who you are if you don't have that solid foundation. And I think the time that I was on tour with Charlie, I think I was on tour with him for a season, just to kind of season me for my next season. So
Oh,
yeah, man, for sure. Mind your business.
my business. Listen, y'all, my business. Sip your water. I just had to sip my water. Well, it did. That's just what it is. I love that. And speaking about, I mean, I feel like you're just like reading my notes, man. Because speaking about seasons, that's one of my tracks right there, man.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned,
Okay.
seasons are different seasons. I'm like, wait a minute, this brother's over here hack my computer. Like, what's going on here? But no, talk about it. You touched a little bit already on seasons, but there was just something so profound that listening to that track, Seasons. First of all, the drums. Were you who's playing drums in that?
That's me on the drum.
That's you on the drums. Okay, the drums is. I love the fact that the drums is like this. It just stayed in the pocket, and then boom. Once you step out, go for it. Came back in, but it was just such a tight setup. So the first thing, because as I'm listening to a song, I'm listening to it the first time. I'm listening for different parts, and I'm listening to it the second time. I'm like, okay, what can I pick out here? What can I pick out? And just appreciating everything, in and within that thing. Season often change, but it remains the same. And it's just, there's so much profound, like, statements in there that someone that, even if you're not a believer and you're listening to music, there's stuff that you can pull away. And as you keep saying it and repeating it, you're going to start to see that transformative change that's going to take over whatever phase you may be in your life. But what was some of the inspiration around seasons when you were just writing that and enduring? And what season were you in at that time?
Ooh, man, I got shivers right now, man. I got just Seasons was one of those songs. My grandmother was pretty much on her deathbed. Uh, my grandfather, and this is my father's on my father's side. They were on their deathbed, um, and the chorus was already written. Cordell Walton, my producer, he had the chorus written, and it really it really birthed from just me understanding that people will not always be here. Your loved ones will not always be here. You know, there are people in your who are closely knit to you who will not always be here. And I will ask God sometimes, like, God, why are we here? What's the meaning of all this up and down, disappointments, discouragement? What is the purpose of? And he kind of took me to the book of Ecclesiastes. You know, if you read Ecclesiastes, it really talks about time and seasons. Like,
Yeah.
what's the purpose? God really shows you. Everything is meaningless, but in the same token, God has a purpose for us all. So I wanted to connect that feeling. That was my goal, to connect that feeling and that question that we all have. I wanted to connect it musically for us to kind of feel that God is like, you will go through these trials, you'll go through these tests, but I'm here with you through it all. So God kind of gave me that melody, even through the pain. A lot of the songs that was birthed, man, it was through the pain and experience of experiencing death and experiencing different situations and that you just can't control.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So my first go-to is to go to the pen and make it make sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, thanks for being transparent about about that tough season in your life, because like I said, when you're listening to sounds and you kind of like not being extra spiritual deep, but at the same time when you're listening at it, there's a certain level of discernment that comes to me. So yes, it sounds like you love sonically and musically, but there's just something that when you switch to a certain track, there's like that shift. There's something that you kind of just feel. You're like, hey, something really personal, something really heavy, but also something really uplifting, something really hopeful kind of happened in the midst of writing this song. Say someone is going through a season, they're going through a season of uncertainty, they're going through a season of confusion, a season of loss, a season of whatever it is. I just putting the song on, and even if you're not singing along, but just letting the song minister to you, because that's the next thing to look. My wife is a singer; she can sing. My daughter can sing. I can't sing. They hate when something is going on and it's just something amazing, and they're all singing, and I try to sing, and they're like, "Come on, Dad! Like, come on, God!" I'm like, listen, I'm gonna worship my God. You're not gonna silence me, devil. That's what I'm gonna spell it. They're like, ain't nothing about that. You just can't sing, but.
Hey,
But
it's all good as God leaders, right?
exactly. But you could tell. And for me, that was a song of hope for me. Listening to Season, listening to just the different parts and the transparency with the pen, with the playing style, just with everything, because you can just feel the progression, the build up. Like there was just so much in there that I'm sure I'm not doing it justice to articulating it, but it was just such a lovely track as I'm just listening to it. So Seasons off the bat, I mean, of course, Compromise and several others are my favorite, but for somehow Seasons, I just got to slow down when I'm listening to that.
Well, I want to say this too, man. Me and you both are, we got something in common, man, because Seasons is that's my personal favorite as well.
Oh.
It's something that you said, what you said, because I listen to my own songs too. I love it. If it doesn't minister to me, then what's the point of me putting it out? So Seasons is one of those songs, is I believe timeless songs that I believe that it just minister to your heart, man. So
I think so. I think so for sure. Oh man. Okay. We're moving on.
Yeah.
So now there is which one was it? Was it Say a Prayer? Which was yes, Say a Prayer. Yeah. Talk about Say a Prayer, because that's another one there. I mean, that's another one there. I'm not listening to Say a Prayer. I'm just like,
yeah, man.
Lord, is what's happening here right now.
Man, Say a Prayer, man. Listen, we were in my parents' basement, man. This was years ago, man. I had to be maybe 18, 19 years old, maybe younger than that. We was in my parents' basement, and my uncle Philip, my producer, brought his equipment down to Ohio, his keyboard, his computer, and we were going through some rough patches, man, during that time as well. And
Yeah.
every one of these songs was birthed off of some type of experience
Mm-hmm.
that we all were having. He came down. My sister Noelle, she came down. You can hear her on the backgrounds as well.
Mm-hmm.
We were going through some things within our family, and say a prayer was just one of those things that just kind of birthed in our spirit. We was really heavy in prayer because there was so much going on, and you can hear my shout out to my grandmother, my late grandma Annette Bates. You can hear
Mm-hmm.
her. Actually, it's a message that we found on we was able to kind of attach it to the song at a
Mm.
certain moment towards the end,
Wow.
one of
Yeah.
her teaching messages,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
talking about how prayer changes things.
Mm-hmm.
That it all connected, man, and God really just kind of birthed that song for us all. So that's one of my favorites too, for sure.
Same here. That's why I called out those two words. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. When no one's there, man, no one's around. That's kind of how we felt. Like,
Yeah.
when no one's around and if stuff just seemed unfair, God just let you know that he's always around. So
Wow. Wow.
great experience.
Loved it. Loved it. Listen, man, there's something in here for every single one of you, every single
Yes.
season, whatever it is. There's there's the celebration bangers. There's the ones you put on at the barbecue. There's the one you put on when you're chilling by the pool.
Yeah.
So when you're working out, there's the high energy ones. There's just like so much that is just in on this, on this track, on this record, Faithful debut album by Bam Travis, available now
Yeah.
every single way. You know, I also want to just a lot of it you kind of answered already, but just from your writing process, to me it seems like, there's the experiential portion of the writing, and there is just, different wherever you may be at the moment, what you're experiencing. But what are some other ways in which you typically would get inspiration? Like, do you go into a room with writers? Have you ever done, large writing sessions, writing groups? You call up your producer, like, hey, I'm coming into the studio, play something. I'm going to see if I get inspiration or write. Like, typically, what's your flow like?
I think for me, it's definitely momentum driven.
Mm.
I have to be in a certain mindset. If I'm just getting out of prayer, or if I'm, at work, a lot of times, if I am in a season of waiting,
Mm.
God will just kind of, birth something in my heart. Usually I write the chorus first.
Okay.
The kind of like the meat of the song is what comes to me first. I haven't really sat in a room in a writing session. I don't think I've ever had a writing session. I think all of my songs kind of, uh, it just birthed off of certain situations. And not to say that I can't just go and
Of
write.
course.
If you hear actually praise him, my first song on the record, that was a quick thing. It was a quick thing. But for the most part, a lot of my songs it just came off of waiting periods. And I remember when I was working at Chrysler, man, a lot of my songs would, while I'd be on the line or seeing problems, seeing things that I can't, like I said, that I can't control or I can't fix,
Mm-hmm.
it would just kind of bubble me in to say, okay, let's write about this.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that's just grandma used to say, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
That's a smart woman.
I think it's the same element with writing too, man. I think a lot of our songs should be not just strategically written
Mm-hmm.
for a hit or for it to be on the top of the Billboard, which is great. If you
Mm-hmm.
that knocking nobody, but
Yeah.
I think we need to get back to the heart of what makes the person whole, just
Hmm.
natural life experiences and stuff we all go through,
Yeah. Yeah.
that we don't want to talk about. And that's what I want to write about. So that's pretty much what I put the pen to.
And the one thing too, again, from my, from what little I've seen, even with my one wife that I mentioned, that she's always writing. Writers just write. You guys just be having like
Yeah.
books upon books and voice notes upon voice notes, and you guys just have stuff. So when you decide to say, "Hey, I want to do something," it's not like no real pressure to go write, 10, 15 tracks. Like you've already written tons. I'm sure right now you still have tons of stuff that you're sitting on and marinating on and waiting on the right season. So, right, writers write, right?
Yeah. The next record is ready right now.
They are talking about it. Say, and here I'm gonna need y'all to do. I'm gonna need y'all to go, buy this one, download it, stream it, so that he can start getting some revenues back and start preparing for that next one, because this thing is cheap out here. You know what I mean?
Come on now. Come on now. Tell them again.
If y'all want to hear the next one, y'all, let's blow up this one, and then
Yeah.
we'll motivate him to do the next one.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
The next thing too that I want to touch on as we're kind of talking about, we're talking about the writing style and the songs, and and everything in general on the album. You also, and correct me if I'm wrong, well, you had a placement in with Dietrich Haddon on one of his film, right? So what was that experience like? Was that something that was specifically written for that movie, or was something you already had? Like, what was that process like, just even getting it there?
Okay. So yeah, Beautiful Soul, his movie. I was fortunate. He gave me a call and asked if I wanted to be a part of, the soundtrack of the movie he was doing. Uh, Go to Church was not the song that I was originally going to do. It was one of the other songs on the record, I believe. But I went to the studio, and the song was already written. Dietrich already had everything laid out. I just went into the studio with him, and we did one song. He was like, "Nah, I think I got this. I got another song for your style. I think I want you to do." And then "Go to Church," man, was one song that I liked as well, and I was able to
Yeah.
lay my my sound on it. And just working with Dietrich, man,
Yeah.
one of the other greatest,
Yes,
you
Dietrich is
know,
amazing.
creative.
Yeah.
Yes, he's so creative, man, and just being from Detroit as well.
Oh,
Uh,
nice, nice.
just I was fortunate enough to be able to learn from him as well, and watch. Even every time I'm able or get an opportunity to be around somebody like that, the best thing you can do is take notes.
Mm.
Watching his style. He's quick in the studio. He's fast, man. It's crazy how stuff come to him, like
Mm.
very, very, very fast. So just being able to be in the studio with him and do Go to Church, man, that was a fun experience for sure.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, Dietrich has been pushing the envelope for so many years now, man, with his style of music, his
Energy.
energy, just overall. Like, when I think energy, automatically, the first two that's gonna come to me is Dietrich and Ty Tribbett.
Yeah.
And when you think energy, I know Ty was just in New York. He was just in New York. He's in tour all over. I haven't gotten a chance to go see him. I think it was DC, maybe the night before or something. But yeah, you can get to see him. Have you seen him on his new tours yet?
My wife showed me a few of the videos.
Okay.
I did see a few clips, but I haven't been able to.
Yeah. Me neither as well. Schedule didn't work out, but yeah, I mean, but definitely working, and being able again to be in the room with D Drake. I'm sure that was definitely another one of those, learning experience where God was just kind of teaching you and molding you as you're continuing down this path. So for me, I'm seeing a lot of patterns. You're in the drums, you're surfing, you're learning, you're getting these opportunities. You're there with Fred, you're there with D Drake. Just your own tutelages from your own parents, just from a musician and the artistry perspective. So definitely, I would say, if anyone is second guessing it, this brother is well prepared. He's always learning. But this brother is prepared, man. I'm gonna check the box when I got home for the reference. This brother, man, I'm like, check the box, put him up, move him one up to the next one. He's ready.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, love. Yes, man. Preparation is key, and we have seasons in our life where we ask God, what's going on. Sometimes the waiting period it can seem tough, and even for other independent artists, I want to share with them too, man. It's just to know why you're doing it. Know why you're doing it. If God told you to do it, He's gonna make it happen. And I'm a firm believer in, if He said it, He's gonna do it. So by and by we'll understand why, and I believe I'm understanding the why now. Being on this interview with you, it just kind of full circle, man. Even when we was talking about seasons, it kind of I felt the Spirit of God just helping me understand why we're here. So, hey, man, shout out to you, man. Thanks for everything.
No, of course, man. Listen, seasons, the new, Faithful, the new album available every single way you can consume music. But first, buy it. I'm not gonna stop saying that. I need to have a button. That's what I'm gonna do. I need to get the sound that says buy it, or I just need to get a button like that, like the buy easy button. I'm just gonna say buy.
Absolutely.
But listen, man, I'm not gonna put any pressure on you to sing or anything like that. If you feel like a 20-second situation, a 10-second of anything, you can. If not, you can share your social. No pressure, no pressure.
Well, what I will say is, I sing, there is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like you do. I can search through all eternity long and find there is none like you. There's nobody like Jesus.
Woo. Man, see, I almost felt like I wanted to join in, but then I heard the voice of my kids like, Dad, don't do it. You can't sing. So I could.
Oh, man.
Then everyone is going to be clung to me in the comments like, I'm not saving for my prayer closet. That's like, you're in the prayer room. I'm going to just put my hands up and I'm going to just say.
No, sir. It's all good. Is there?
That's all the listen about. I appreciate you so much, brother, for coming on, for chopping it up with us, man. It's been definitely a true pleasure just, talking to you, learning, a whole lot about what's going on. There's so much others we didn't even touch on, and definitely as you continue, to push this record and you're ministering various places and stuff, definitely want to bring you back on again, just, to touch base with a lot of stuff that you're going to be at any award shows anywhere. I'm not sure if you're going to go down to Vegas for Stellars or not, but wherever it is you're going to, okay, perfect. So we're going to be out there. Definitely want to meet you in person. Absolutely. Catch up with you there as well too. But let the people know, where they can find you on social media, where you're more active, where they can go ahead and download the new album, Faithful, and just overall how they can catch up and communicate with you.
Absolutely. Faithful is available actually on Amazon Music, iTunes, all digital outlets, your musical digital outlets. You can find me on Instagram at Bam Travis Music, Facebook at Bam Travis Music. Everything is Bam Travis Music. YouTube is Bam Travis Music. But yeah, the whole record is available now. I have a Linktree account. Actually, Linktree link that's attached to my Instagram at the top. So you could just click on that link and it'll actually take you to everything. It'll take you to the music videos. It'll take you to the album. It'll take you to the singles that we previously put out as well. All the future content will be on that link as well. So yeah, I appreciate the love and support.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely. And shout out to Juan, shout out to the
Shout-
label. I mean,
Yes.
man, you guys are doing it there, man. I appreciate every single one of you, man. Definitely, for real, for real.